Hello and welcome back. I was doing my makeup this morning and thinking about the most often asked questions in my Hair Color Secrets Insider Inner Circle membership. And something that continues to come up over and over again is requests for a glazing or toning recipe. When I do this client, what should I put on as the glaze? And it always makes me hesitate because the way that I want to answer is not so nice. I want to say, stop, please stop asking for recipes. You cannot plan or predict what you're going to use for a glaze or toner until you see how the hair has lifted. 99% of issues in hair color services are improper lifting issues versus, you know, formulating or glazing recipes. If the hair is not lifted cleanly, you're not going to get the result that you want in the final outcome because I will say it, I've said it a million times and I'll say it again on this episode. Hair color is always the result of what is existing on the hair and what you're applying to the hair. So, whatever's in your bowl or bottle combined with what the hair brings to the party. So, for example, my existing hair right now is lots of gray with, maybe 30% leftover blonde highlights. So, what that brings to the situation is twofold. The gray is going to react one way, the blonde is going to react another way. So, if someone were to ask me, okay, to make your hair copper, what would I do? What's the recipe? I'm like, you have to see, you have to look through my hair and see where is the heavier percentage of gray? What is the percentage of gray? What is the natural hair? Is there any natural hair left? On me, there's very little left. It's more towards the bottom half of my head. I think all these basic questions have gone out the window when a lot of educators and influencers put out all these recipe books and, get my Shades EQ, my Redken Shades EQ recipe book. Even Redken puts out recipe cards when I go to my local salon centric, there's a wall with all these little cards. And I look at it and I think, this is such bad influence to someone who doesn't really understand how glazes and toners work, because these recipes, I'm looking at it and it's big time colorists that I respect and I know they do really great work. But what is missing from that recipe card is, what did that person look like when they sat in the chair? It's never there. It's never on the card. It never says, you know, Tracy Cunningham, her celebrity client, Lindsay Lohan, came in with faded out, blah, 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 blah. It never says that. And yes, Lindsay Lohan is a celebrity. We can kind of assume what she started out to be based on what she's looked like in the past, but you don't know that. Our clients, I'm sorry, I learned this from my mentor, Beth Minardi. Most of our clients, when they come and sit in our chair, even if we have done their hair the last time before they came in, almost every visit is almost like a corrective visit because they're leaving us and they're using crap shampoo. They're going on vacation and they're going in the ocean and they're not protecting their hair and they're not wearing a hat. And they may swim for hours and hours in chlorinated water and then get drunk at the pool bar and go to sleep and then go to the beach the next day and swim again and then fall asleep. And they're not, getting the chlorine out of their hair. And then this is all underneath. When we're working on them, we don't know that this is there and it becomes a corrective situation. So I know I'm coming off a little bawdy today, but it's just a little frustrating to me. I just did a quick video for my Black Friday offer to put on Instagram, and I was putting on my makeup and I was saying the biggest aha moment, not the biggest, one of the biggest aha moments of my career happened only about 5 years ago, because we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary of buying our home here in Florida. And it made me realize that I was listening to Dennis Gephardt on his podcast. And he was saying that, we've all been taught that the center of the color wheel is neutral brown, but it's really more of a murky, muddy gray. I literally had to sit down after I heard Dennis say that. And I know that he has a background in chemistry. He has a lot more knowledge of the nitty gritty of the chemistry of how color works. I teach from a perspective of I've been doing this for 36 to 40 years. I know that when I do this, this happens, and I know that it works. I don't get into the amino acids and the layers of the hair and the structure and the big words because I'm not a chemist and I don't want to mislead anyone. But him saying the center of the color wheel is more gray than brown just blew my mind. And it made me an entirely different colorist in terms of especially glazing situations, because I was crossing the color wheel and trying to obliterate whatever was showing up, a yellow, orange, a gold, whatever was left in the hair that I was trying to get rid of. I was taking it all the way back to that murky, muddy gray. And that's, of course, not what most clients want unless they're looking for gray. That's a whole other conversation. But most times they want that bright vanilla blonde. And I know that, a lot of the questions that I get are, how do I glaze my client but keep her bright? And that's when glazing, adding warmth into your glazes, even when you're trying to combat brassiness, started to come on the scene. And I was always like, this isn't how I was taught. Like, why would you ever use a 9V and a 9RB together? Like, why would you ever do that? It's kind of contradicting, and doesn't it just cancel each other out? Now I get it, because that little tip that Dennis gave about the center being gray, I'm not trying to take it all the way to gray. So instead of going across the color wheel, I shift a little bit towards the next slide over into a little bit of warmth to keep it from going muddy. So these are just a few of the many things that I teach in my programs. I have a membership, the Hair Color Secrets Insider Inner Circle. It is a monthly membership. It is, over 100 lessons. It is monthly coaching with me live. And I have an amazing community of Inner Circle members. I also see that the new trend in education is people want to get in and get out. They don't want to spend time with me on coaching calls and getting pushed and getting, help along the way. I love my community and I would never change it. But I also know that in order to stay relevant, you have to keep pivoting. So for this Black Friday, I said to Bryn, we need to do something that's more condensed, more fast-tracked, accelerated, all the things, because people want instant results. So we create it for Black Friday only. We've never done this. We created a Black Friday offer. It is 50% less than we would ever even consider charging for something like this, because for me, I get tired of stylists saying to me, I can't afford, because it's basically the chicken and the egg. The reason that you can't afford the education you need is because you haven't had the education to pay for the future education. So I'm not trying to be rude, but if you use I can't afford as your limiting, action to getting what you need, you're always going to keep making the muddy result, not getting it right, having a brassy result, having your clients be unhappy and looking elsewhere. I get that this is one of the toughest times in the history of the hair business. I've been at it for 40 years. I've never seen more posts from people saying, I am so slow. It is Thanksgiving week. I am so slow. Nobody's booking yet for December. Why am I not slam busy? I know for me, when I was behind the chair, I never had a minute to even eat lunch in all of November and December. January, crickets. I get it. But November and December, I never planned any vacations. My daughter's birthday is in November. I was always careful to try not to pick, an away kind of trip for her, because I knew, a lot of us make most of our income in that final couple months of the year. So if you keep telling yourself that you can't afford education and you want an accelerated experience with what I talked about today and so much more, I pulled out of the membership all the key things that I'm like, if you do nothing else with your career, if you just do these 6 pillars of the program, and then we're going to have one time, virtual Q&A to ask all the questions that you'll have over the 6 weeks. It's called the 6-week accelerator, color confidence accelerator. I'm super proud of it. I want people to take advantage of it, because I promise you, you will not see it throughout the year. This is it. This is Black Friday only. This is what do you say in football? I don't even know what the terminology is. Like when you're down to, it's do or die. That is the kind of thing that this program was made for. If this 2025 was not at all what you wanted it to be, you're not booked with clients, you don't have a wait list, you're still sweating, guessing, and stressing when it comes to formulating, please stop using "I don't have the money" as an excuse. I believe we offer Afterpay, so you can click on that and you can make payments. It is super reasonable for the amount of value that is in this course. And again, if you are in the Hair Color Secrets Insider Inner Circle and you hear this and you're getting excited because everyone, not everyone, but many of the Insider Inner Circle members have said, please, please give me the link. Please give me the link. Please do not buy it if you are Inner Circle. You get all of this and more. This is a very condensed sample that is pure education, that so many of the things, just one thing out of there each time they go back into work. Stylists will be changed forever from this program. But Inner Circle, please don't buy it. You guys have me all the time. I don't want you to spend money on it. You already have all of these things and more. So thank you for listening. To get this offer, you can go to my Instagram. You can go to my Facebook. You can go to the website, expertcolorsolutions.com. If you're listening to this on the podcast, when you are not driving or on the treadmill, come and check it out. It's Black Friday only. It ends I believe it ends Sunday evening at midnight. So you have time, but not a lot of time to grab this amazing offer. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the next one.